Well, very much. You're most welcome aboard UBC TV. Indeed, we are coming to you live from Nile Avenue. Now, my name is Jethro Kaseji, and of course, today is the 1st of May, 2024. Good morning, Uganda. Good morning, Uganda. Indeed, it is a very, very good morning. Of course, I'm making my maiden appearance on this very show. Good morning, Uganda. But also, the most important thing that you have to have in your mind today, being the 1st of May, and every 1st of May, Uganda, and not only Uganda, but the whole world at large, will be commemorating the International Labour Day. Now, in Uganda, the official ceremony will be held in Fort Portal district, where we expect the President of Uganda, His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, being the guest of honor in that arena. But also, we shall be coming to you live from Fort Portal as well to understand the aspects on how things will be running today. Of course, today being a public holiday, I understand very many of you are watching from the comfort of your sitting rooms. Now, I will not be riding alone. Today, I'll be with my colleague Robert Onyango, of course, and I also believe he will also be making his maiden appearance today. And of course, this duo is going to take you all the way until when we shall be finishing this program today. So what you have to do, you just have to glue on your TV, just hold your remote, don't change the dial. And we have a number of updates that we are going to be bringing up to you right about now. Onyango.
Well, a good morning, our viewers of UBC TV. Yes, Comrade Jethro, if you hadn't said that this is Good Morning Uganda, our viewers would have thought we are still at the airport for the NAM and G77 summit. Yes. That was the same combination which covered that. And today it's my pleasure that indeed we are back on the screens of UBC TV on this another assignment of Good Morning Uganda. As you have said, the 1st May 2024, for our viewers, if you had a plan for the year 2024, you are left with not more than 7 months to execute that plan. Like for my case, I'll give an example. I had thought of buying 2 to 3 goats. Of course, as of today, I want to assure you that I've already bought the ropes.
That is an achievement, by the way.
I've prepared the crowd. I've even spotted where I will buy those goats from.
All right.
What is remaining in this remaining 7 months is for me to go and make a payment and, of course, kick off my program. So for our viewers, if you had a plan, you still have very few months to go, so that by the time we close up 2024, you might be on the right track to execute that plan.
All right, thank you so much, my colleague Robert Onyango. Maybe to take our viewers through about the highlights that probably made headlines yesterday. You realize that up to today, Uganda, a number of sanctions have been put on certain government officials by the U.S. government. But the question is, when will this stop? Onyango, we've seen this happening on several occasions. This has happened on a number of generals. This has happened on a number of MPs. But when will all these sanctions ever stop?
Of course, as a country yesterday, we went to bed on a very sad note. The person of the speaker is almost the 3rd in hierarchy in our country. So if a foreign country, to say by that case the UK government, is coming up with such sanctions, it doesn't make us comfortable as a country. The speaker is someone who is at a certain level, even in the absence of the president, the absence of the chief justice. She is in position to take up the country as a leader. So if such sanctions are being slapped on our leaders, like a person of the speaker, then it makes us, all of us, worried. We want to say and believe no one is safe as of today. Then you look at the context on which these sanctions are being imposed on some of our leaders. The corruption scandals. The Parliament of Uganda has responded to these sanctions. Like, look, the speaker was not at the center of the whole project of the OPM, which was giving out iron sheets to the needy.
But where are we going wrong, Onyango? Because now this is becoming a daily bread.
Of course, as a country, we have now to review our foreign policy.
Yes.
Because it has given much liberty to the people we are associating with. UK, they were our masters. But when time came and they left in 1962, as we say, It seems as of today they didn't leave.
Don't you think there is any way how these sanctions are really affecting us as a country?
Of course,
because if our leaders are banned, maybe probably from traveling to the US, I think it is a challenge.
Yes, it worries us and even the speaker. But the speaker has on several occasions said she's not bothered. If you are not limiting her to move to Kedia, she's okay with whatever will come.
Actually, the president of Uganda has usually come out clearly and said, we can survive on our souls,
Yes.
on our own.
Yes.
So even if you tell him not to travel to US, for him, he's okay with it. Well, let's talk about rationalization of government agencies. Now, the whole of this week and weeks back, even a few months ago, government agencies have to be marginalized. But a number of people are coming out to say that probably the members of parliament have been bribed in one way or another. But the Speaker of Parliament recently came out and said, no. I'll not accept anybody to talk about the House. These things of putting the House down when she's still the Speaker of Parliament, that won't happen. Now, we've seen a number of agencies that have to be marginalized. Let's talk about NITA. Let's talk about UCDA. Onyango, do you think this rationalization of government agencies is a plus? Because some have been marginalized, but some are not yet and will not be rationalized altogether.
Well, the issue of government merger of agencies has also left us at a point of where we believe we are at crossroads, because on the first day you are merging these agencies, then there comes the appointments of deputy RDCs and RCCs.
Yes.
It all goes back to what is the intention of government. If we are trying to limit on the expenses or expenditure of a country, and again we have a new list of people who will also be a burden to Ugandans. But the discussion is now beyond that. After the processes, I don't find it worth the speaker. Yes, this is the platform she has to come into the August House and start rebuking ministers for what she alleges in quotes, that some of members of the cabinet are believed to be going to cabinet and start penetrating their powers, and of course, to the extent of pointing at parliament as an institution which is sailing on bribery, because for a few cases and a few days ago, there have been reports of members of parliament who are reported to have bagged bribes during these processes of rationalization, because you all watched, UBS was giving us the live feeds from parliament.
Yes.
The pressure, the intensity of discussion, at times you felt there was something behind pushing the members of parliament when it came to the voting and whether UNRWA should be left to operate in a singular way. UNITA, then UCD, as you mentioned. So this is also leaving Parliament at crossroads. There are those members of the public. Now the Speaker is even confirming that some of the members of Cabinet have went to the extent of reporting Parliament to the President that, look, Your Excellency, this is what happened behind the doors. Some members of Parliament bagged millions of money. And then this leaves the image of Parliament, because every day in this country, we are talking about bribery in Parliament.
And corruption.
These are the people we send to represent us. We don't expect them to go under that line.
Well, we wait to see on how all these things will be unfolding, of course, coming from Parliament. A number of issues are still on table, but we wait to see how things will be ending. But also, Robert, let's talk about technology, probably before we cross to politics. The Minister for Science, Innovation and Technology, Dr. Monica Musenero, came out yesterday and clearly said that probably if Uganda is to advance, technology has always been, it should be put at the center stage to see how Ugandans as well as Uganda can develop from one level to another. Now, yesterday, the ministry came out and clearly said that probably there are these motorcycles that use electricity. They should be given to government officials. What do you say about this?
Well, it is our time as a country, it is our time as a generation to embrace science and technology or innovation. But at a certain level, you feel what government is preaching is not what is being done. Science, yes. If you want to give me an electric motorcycle, then the issue is about the sustainability. It shouldn't be a matter of just handing me that electric bike. What is the achievement at the end of the day? Because if the intention is saving fuel, I think we need to get a one uniform transport system for government workers. For us as young as we are, we saw how our parents used to work with government and move. There was one means of transport. You could come, wake up yourself, get at a particular position, then you can be transported. But the issue of making sure that this is what is causing traffic on the roads mainly. Everyone wants to transport him or herself to the job and go back home. Yes, we can embrace science, but let's be mindful of what is the impact at the end of the day. Is it worth celebrating as a country?
Yeah, well, Onyango, before we go to the international news, I don't know if you still have any local news that you probably could talk about.
Of course, before even we go into what was making headlines yesterday, the recent trip by the president of Uganda to Kenya, where he was attending the IDA 2021 Africa Heads of State Summit, it still dominates the discussion on Twitter and almost everywhere, where the president was showing the country and even the world at large. Many have reduced it to the discussion that he was lecturing World Bank. Of course, the president was making pertinent issues and questions which needs to be addressed and answered. So the president's speech, his address there is almost the talk of everywhere, where people are saying, some have even appreciated the president, some are saying, no, he went overboard. But for me, what I picked from that and think the discussions which are coming in should be, if there is anything the president addressed in that address, we need to sit on the table, especially our development partners. The president was making a point like, you look here, we are almost giving money for seminars. I've been begging money for developing irrigation schemes. No one is willing to offer us a loan. But when it comes to a seminar where people can converge in a room, eat pancakes, drink wine, that money is readily available. So the president is showing us that indeed Africa is not lagging behind because we have no capacity. But the people who are willing to support us have different agendas, support resourceful programs, and we do what we can do as a country. So if just to begin off with the news headlines locally here, we will also take you, the First Lady is the Minister in charge of Education and Sports, Janet Kataha Museveni, yesterday at Kololo pledged the government's commitment in emphasizing policies that encourage learning through play. She made the remarks at the launch of the National Play Day at Kololo Independence Grounds. Uganda has launched its first ever National Children's Play Day to raise awareness about the transformative power of play in child's life and its crucial role in health development. The First Lady, Janet Kataha, who also doubles as the Minister of Education and Sports, unveiled government's commitment to creating play spaces for proper upbringing of children across the country. She urged parents to fulfill their responsibilities in the proper development of their children by providing them with a play and learning environment. Highlighting the importance of play to a child, Kate Lamaro, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education and Sports, emphasized the play as the cornerstone of children's development. The country director of UNICEF reaffirmed their commitment to upholding every child's right to play, ensuring they thrive and fulfill their potentials. Well, the second story and the highlight of the day was that of the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, visiting Bulange Mingo. The Uganda Broadcasting Corporation has pledged to cooperate with the Buganda Kingdom in changing people's lives. This was disclosed during the courtesy visit by the Managing Director of UBC, Winston Agaba, to the Second Deputy Katikkiro of Buganda Kingdom, Robert Nsibirwa, at Bulange Mingo. The two discussed matters that concern UBC, Buganda Kingdom, and the Kingdom's media houses. Both parties had a closed-door meeting before addressing the media. In his speech at the media, the Deputy Katikkiro Robert Wagwan Nsibirwa said the two entities discussed on how best they can improve the media landscape and the kingdom at large. The Managing Director UBC, Winston Agaba, said, Buganda Kingdom being on the forefront of development, he pledged the corporation's commitment in working with the kingdom in different aspects. UBC bought Buganda Kingdom certificate worth 1 million shilling towards supporting the kingdom's works. The MD of UBC was accompanied by the Director of Finance, Peter Kagwa, Star TV Program Director Michael Balaba, among other delegations. Our other next stories of the day was the World Pandemic Agreement. The civil society organizations dealing with the health have opposed some of the contents in the draft by World Health Organization Pandemic Agreement, terming them as unfair, especially to the developing countries. The Pandemic Agreement is a potential international agreement currently being discussed by the 194 member states of the World Health Organization. Currently, the international negotiating body that was launched in 2021 has started discussing the draft World Health Organization Pandemic Agreement up to the end of May 2024. The Pandemic Agreement is a potential international agreement being discussed by the 194 member states of the World Health Organization, including Uganda. The objective is to help the world prevent, prepare, and respond to pandemics. Spearheaded by AIDS Health Care Foundation Uganda Cares, civil society organizations in Uganda are not satisfied with the draft agreement on grounds that it does not fairly represent the issues of African countries, such as reducing inequalities in health care between developed and developing countries. World leaders have therefore challenged to agree the document that speaks to equity in promoting access to vaccines and fundamental rights to health. Lastly, it is our own story of Nambole. The UPDF Engineering Brigade has confirmed that Nambole Stadium is ready to host test games this Wednesday. Giants, Vipers, and Bull FC will face off in the opener before rivals KCCA FC play Sports Club Villa. The stage is set. Test games to affirm readiness of Nambole Stadium to host international games are lined up on Wednesday afternoon. Bull FC, who are title contenders, will host Vipers Sports Club in the opener. With both teams level on 46 points, Nambole stands as a neutral ground for the two sides who seek continental representation. And yet later in the evening comes a long-awaited game between KCCA FC against Sports Club Villa. As usual, it is always hard to determine who will walk away with victory at the end of the day in these two fixtures. Jethro, that is what I had in the local news here.
Well, thank you so much, my colleague Robert Onyango. But of course, as he prepares probably to bring you up as well as in what is going to happen today in the dailies, allow me to take you straight to the international news. Now, a tragedy beyond words. UN chiefs warn Israel against assault on Rafah. UN Chief Antonio Guterres warns that an Israel assault on Rafah, of course, will be an unbearable escalation that will be devastating for Palestinians in Gaza and the wider region. The simplest truth is that a ground operation in Rafah will be nothing short of a tragedy beyond words. No humanitarian plan can counter that, says Martin Griffiths, the UN Under-Secretary General for the Humanitarian Affairs. Now, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel forces will enter Gaza's southern city of Rafah regardless of whether a ceasefire deal is reached with Hamas. At least 2 children have been killed and several people injured in an overnight Israel attack on a house in Rafah's Shaboura neighborhood in southern Gaza, where more than 1.5 million displaced Palestinians are sheltering from the war, Wafa reports. Now, at least 34,535 Palestinians have been killed and 77,704 wounded in Israel attacks on Gaza since October 7th. The death toll in Israel from Hamas October 7th attacks stands at 1,139, with dozens of people still held captive. Now, Trump held in contempt of court in New York trial for gag order violations. That's our second story. And now the judge of Donald Trump's New York hush money trial has held the former United States president in contempt of court for repeatedly violating a gag order. The order prohibited Trump from speaking publicly and posting on social media about individuals involved in the trial. Judge Juan Marchan on Tuesday said Trump had violated the order 9 times. He fined Trump $1,000 per violation, with 9 of statements identified as breaching the order. The fine came to a total of $9,000. Prosecutors had detailed 14 possible violations to the court, and Marshall could make more determinations at a hearing tomorrow, Thursday. The judge also ordered Trump to remove 7 offending posts from his Truth Social account and 2 from a campaign website by Tuesday afternoon. He added that Trump was hereby warned that the court will not tolerate continued willful violations of its lawful orders, and that if necessary and appropriate under the circumstances, it will impose an incarceratory punishment. Now straight to African news. Mali kills IS commander blamed for U.S. deaths. Now State TV in Mali says a senior Islamic State commander who had a $5 million US bounty on his head has been killed by a force including troops from Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. Abu Huzaifa had been linked to several high-profile raids in the Sahel region. Now, this included a 2017 attack which killed 4 American soldiers and several troops from Niger. Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger have all suffered from relentless attacks by jihadist fighters. All 3 countries are under military rule and have been developing close links with Russia while cutting ties with Western allies, including the US. They have been welcoming Russian military help while forcing troops from other countries to leave. Abu Huzaifa, who was also known as Higo, was described by the report on Mali State TV as a Moroccan national and a commander in IS self-styled Sahel province. Now, before I take you back to my colleague Onyango, let me take you through about the climate change. Could be good news for viruses like COVID. Now, climate change and closed windows could be aiding the spread of airborne viruses like the one that causes COVID-19. A new study suggests increased levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and the indoor spaces appear to be a major factor in prolonging the life of COVID variants present in tiny airborne droplets, researchers report. We knew SARS-CoV-2, like other viruses, spreads through the air we breathe, but this study represents a huge breakthrough in our understanding of exactly how and why that happens, and crucially, what can be done to stop it, said leader researcher Ellen Hadrell, a senior research associate in aerosol science at the University of Bristol School of Chemistry in the UK. In lab studies, researchers found that rising carbon dioxide concentrations in the air can increase the length of time that airborne viruses remain infectious. Now, normal outdoor air has carbon dioxide level of 400 parts per million, researchers said.
Well, thank you, Jethro, with those international updates. Now, still in the dailies today, I'll begin with New Vision, which has a headline of UK, what UK sanctions on the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Mong means. They also have another headline, as it is a Labour Day, where they're saying, Labour Day, 58 gate medals. The supplement of all these are inside in today's New Vision. Then they also have another headline where they say government issues new rules on pay rolls. We will be giving you the details of those stories, but to move on just away from here, The Citizen has a headline saying government is mining policy shift as it eyes more benefits. This is The Citizen paper, which also has another news stories where they says all eyes are on Samia as nation marks Workers' Day, and that is probably Samia Suluhu, the President of the Republic of Tanzania. In another development and on a sad note, to our neighbors Kenya, in the Daily Nation, they say we have lost, oh, those they have lost. This is a story of the floods which are happening in the neighboring Kenya, where they said the tragedy, everyone is mourning here. The residents of Jerusalem and Kamuruchiri villages in my Hill have lost relatives, friends and neighbors who are among the 48 victims of the devastating deluge that came down in the wee hours of Monday. One family is living the horror and pain of losing 4 members. It is indeed a sad story, and we need to pray for our neighbors, Kenya, for the floods which is ravaging them. Thank you, Jethro.
Thank you, Robert. And of course, looking at the time check, if today you've been wondering and asking yourself, what will inspire you today? It is very important to note that I have an inspiration song for you, of course, Victory Lock by Alain.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
victory.
Story. Victory. Oh yeah. In this moment, arms wide open, blessings pouring like the rain. It's all from you, so I'm saying thanks again. We rise up like the sun, and any and everything we overcome. We pray God will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We standing on the rock, 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 on the victory rock, yeah, yeah. We standing on the rock, 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 on the victory rock, yeah, yeah. Standing on the rock, yeah, yeah. Trusting in the power of the Most High to protect and shine a light and make a way. Watcher and defender of our lives, we're friend and man, but family. If we forget, remind us that you're always beside us. No, nothing can hold me down. We're standing on the rock, you know, solid ground. We rise up like the sun, and any and everything we overcome. We pray God will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We standing on the rock, 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 on the victory rock, yeah, yeah. We standing on the rock, 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 on the victory rock, yeah, yeah. Victory rock, yeah, we're triumphing. Life is not an easy road, it's a climb uphill. But we know we're not alone, so we try until we cross the finish line. Sweating away highest thing. Be strong, never stop moving your feet. Don't make no negativity, make you retreat. Said only you can stop you are the truth, you see. I feel destiny go beat. We rise up like the sun, and any and everything we overcome. We pray God will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We standing on the rock, 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 on the victory rock, yeah, yeah. We standing on the rock, 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 on the victory rock, yeah, yeah. We give thanks and praises to the victory rock. Our hands we raise unto the victory rock. The ancient of days, yeah, yeah, the victory rock. And on the victory rock, stand on the victory rock. We give thanks and praises to the victory rock. And our hands we raise unto the victory rock. The ancient of days, yeah, yeah, the victory rock. And on the victory rock, stand on the we rise up like the sun, and any and everything we overcome. We pray God will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We standing on the rock, 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 on the victory rock, yeah, yeah. We standing on the rock, 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 on the victory rock, yeah, yeah. We're standing on solid ground, and nothing can hold us down, no matter what comes around, yeah. And can't stop it, never stopping now. Victory rock, I'm guiding you, hey. We're standing and rocking in victory, yeah. Say I know the end of my story, yeah. Rising in victory, yeah. Jah watch over me.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
On Wednesday, the 1st of May 2024, Uganda will join the rest of the world to commemorate the International Labour Day, a day celebrated to recognize the contribution of labour towards the social, economic and political development of the country. This year's celebrations will be held at Mukabura Grounds in Fort Portal City on the theme, improving access to labor justice, a prerequisite for increased productivity. The celebrations will be cast live on UBC TV, all our radio stations, and social media platforms. Don't miss. Happy Labor Day.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Yes, it is Good Morning Uganda. It is Good Morning Uganda. Of course, Jethro Kasaiji, I am still here, and I'll be taking you through today's package that we have for you. But of course, our main concern, we are going to be talking the International Labor Day. I'm still with Robert Onyango. You just don't have to go away because we have a lot for you on our plate. Now, talking Labor Day. Now, remember, this is a day that is commemorated every year, 1st May. It is very important. Now, I do understand that everywhere in each country, we have workers. Now, workers, this is your day. This is my day because I am a worker. Onyango.
Yes, please.
Is this your day too?
Well, of course, I'm a worker.
Okay.
Yeah, and I must celebrate with the little I have gotten in this country as a worker. Yes.
As a government worker.
As a government worker. You needed
Now,
to hear that.
that is very important. Onyango, what is there to celebrate on such a day? Because there are a number of issues that are happening within our country, Uganda.
Yes, yes.
But also, we shall be borrowing a leaf from other countries to see, and we weigh in how and where can we really perfect in one way or another to see that workers can really be comfortable in their work stations. Besides that, is it even possible to be comfortable? Let's start from there.
Well, before I just answer your question for the interest of our viewers who are watching us, as UBC, me and Jeffrey, we shall keep the discussion here in the studios, but then our team led by John Paul Sonko is in Fort Portal City. They will be giving us the details and the live updates of the today's celebration at an event where we expect the president to officiate over. So just get your cup of tea, take your time, relax, watch us as we wait for the live feed from Fort Portal City to see how and why we are celebrating this day as a country. Just to come back on your question, of course in life, something small must be celebrated.
Okay.
As a worker,
however small it is.
However small it is.
Yes.
As workers of this country, I don't want to limit the discussion to myself because I will be bringing in my own interest.
Yes.
But as workers of this country, we need to celebrate this day. Let's go back to the essence of this day in 1986. The framers of the celebration were not looking about the positivities of the workers, but they brought in this day to keep reminding ourselves on the importance, on the journeys, on the challenges, and on the way forwards. So, if we are to discuss holistically the person of the worker in every country, we will come back to Uganda as a country. We need to look at ourselves, how have we moved on as a country? What is our history back? What is our today?
Of course, there is
and
a step.
Where do we want to go? So, for me, I see this day as timely. In fact, the framers were very, very careful. May, we're almost in the middle of the year. It gives us time to look at the past 6 months, the coming 6 months ahead as we wind up the year.
Yes.
So these are questions we must ask ourselves, starting from individual levels. As a worker, am I moving on positively? Are the targets I set, are they progressing?
But of course, as you set your targets, Onyango, remember you're paid salary unless you're employing yourself. But if you're employed by government, you know, you set your targets. The government is also setting its own targets because it has to achieve, you understand? But as it achieves, are you achieving?
I will say first and foremost that I'm achieving because I'm still employed by government. If you reduce it to me as an individual, that's one of the targets I set. I must be employed.
Okay.
Then the salary I'm earning, it's making me find ways of surviving, doing other things and engagements. Then government, on the other hand, is gaining from me. One, I'm offering a service.
Okay, that is very important.
I'm paying taxes. This is what we are celebrating today. Workers are at the cornerstone of development of their country. If a worker doesn't wake up and go for that simple job, and for this case, we will even tell our viewers, what is a worker in this case? Is it only a government employee? Is it only a civil servant? Is it only a private employed worker? It cuts across. Casual workers, and for this case as a country, Uganda, casual workers are the most important people in this country because they are doing most of the donkey work. The agriculturalists, the farmers, the industrialists, the laborers in that way, and it stretches beyond even those working within Uganda up to those working abroad. Like for our case, we have hundreds of our younger boys and girls going overseas for green pasture jobs. They are in Oman, they are in Saudi Arabia, they are in Canada. So these are all our workers, and this day gives us a chance to sit down as a country, start to do an assessment. Have these people done their job well? Both here locally, are we being served by people who are adding 1 or 2 to our nation? Those who are abroad, are they serving our country in terms of remitting revenues. You know, there are a lot of billions of monies coming to
But-
back in Uganda from the workers abroad.
Yeah,
so
but-
this is all the people we are celebrating today.
But as we talk about celebration, Robert, people also have to have it in mind that, you know, celebration is happiness.
Yes.
Yeah. However, you can as well celebrate someone's life who has gone.
Yes.
You understand? But in this aspect, I have my opinion anyway.
Yes, please.
Celebrating International Labour Day. Now, in Uganda alone, there are workers that are celebrating, but there are workers who are also crying. Let's talk about the Uganda Human Rights Commission. Now, a number of cases are still in their offices. Now, at what extent, at what level shall we really reach upon when all Ugandans are really celebrating? That is also very key. You know, we must acknowledge and appreciate the government of Uganda because a lot has been gathered to see that Uganda is a stable country, economically, security-wise. I mean, when it comes to productivity, now, we must appreciate. But there are workers that are crying.
Well, for us who are
How do we rub away this cry, this tear from one worker who is downtown? Actually, those working downtown, should they celebrate this day as well?
I need for clarity after the celebration if management can be in position to facilitate you to go to UK, South Africa, or in Nigeria even. These are some of the economies we celebrate as a world. They are high-end economies. But Jethro, crying has not started with us today, and it's not going to end with us today. What we must be focusing on as a country is how do we get things right to work for the biggest
But
percentage.
Onyango, how do we cry? I know we shall never stop
Of course,
crying.
we are crying of the IFRIS recently. You saw the cry about
yes,
IFRIS,
yes.
the rents, the bills of water and electricity. These are things which I think are minimal and they can be addressed. The only issue we should be discussing is, are we benefiting from what we are doing as workers? If we are not doing that, if we are not benefiting, then let's go back and tell whoever is concerned, like Parliament. Last week I was attending the second annual Labour Convention and Expo at Mestil Hotel, organized by the Ministry of Gender, just in line with this year's celebrations. One of the keynote addressers there was the Minister for Justice, Norbert Mao, and he made a very pertinent comment that I am sitting in Parliament as a member of Parliament, an ex-official and as a minister, but I have never seen the workers' representatives bringing on board, on the floor of Parliament, the issues concerning the workers of this country. Let's begin from there. Are our leaders, are our representatives aligned to the fact that this is what we need as workers?
But before we go to our leaders, Onyango, you see, this is a two-way traffic.
Yes.
In different organizations, there are organizations that we look up to and appreciate. But there are also other organizations that you look at and you really have to
feel you
sympathize
can-
with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Now, in this free market economy, Uganda as it is termed to be, how do we see that organizations, different workstations, people can really benefit? We are looking at equality. Equality is very important. That is why I told you as we talk about improving access to labor justices, equality is also very key. Now, this is where the gap is.
Yes, there's inequality almost everywhere, not only in the working industry. And if we are to discuss the inequalities in our country, we can spend, I think, the whole year seated here discussing the inequalities. But then that does not put away the fact that we need to address it. But before we come to the level of addressing the inequalities, are our own people conversant with what they're supposed to do as workers? Before someone else comes to fight for them, are they very much assured? Like the theme is saying justice for the workers. What is this justice? Are our people aware of what they call justice for themselves? You yourself, you have decided to enter a job market, a job office, a corporation. You have agreed to work where there's no contract. How do you expect someone to fight for you?
Now that is also key.
Yesterday I was in Kayunga working on a story for the skilling, and one of the beneficiaries, a young boy, said, I am a graduate of certificates from YMCA.
Yes.
And by then, when I used to walk around to search for an employment, they used to ask me one question.
Experience.
What is your qualification?
Qualification.
And he used to say, I'm a certificate graduate. Then they asked him, what do you want to do? His response, guess is what? I can do anything. If you are offering yourself like as someone who is having no option, I can do anything, I guess the employers of this country will manipulate us. They will, of course, give you what they think you deserve. But in actual sense, because let's look at the simple objectives of what should be done. Let's have the employers give these people contracts.
But that
The
is the role of
contract
government.
spells out the terms and conditions.
Robert, talking about the contract, it is the role of the government.
But in a
Has
brother-
government done enough to survey, to make research, to understand how people are working?
Of course, Jeffrey, it can't work in a liberalized economy like ours. Because government has given off its roles of employing Ugandans. It has given it to the private sector. A private sector, the factors of demand are different. The factors of operations are different. So it gives him liberty to set the conditions and terms of employment. Because he's paying water himself. He's paying electricity himself. He's paying all the other expenses needed. The incurring costs of production are different. So I don't think it is very easy. Yes, government has to superintend over everything in its country, but you find yourself at the crossroads. It's not very easy for it to move. Let's take a company like UBC, it's a coffee company. Then you walk in as government, as a Minister of Trade, and you say, from today onwards, the least employer will be paid 1M, and this should be a casual laborer who is working, let me say, in the ginning or the granary. It becomes hard for a government to move in UBC tea company or coffee company to start setting terms and conditions. What government can do in this instance? We have cried as a country for the issue of the minimum wage. It sorts everything.
Well, of course, remember the 10th Parliament then tried really to bring about this minimum wage. And if you remember very well, by that time the minimum wage was 136,000. But the economy has changed, Robert. You know, look at the climate change alone. Has government really thought of this? I've heard of people receiving the same salary from about 10 years ago up to today. You know, but remember, looking at the free market economy, looking at the scale on how things are really being sold at the market, things are very expensive. You know, and remember, once you reach certain shops, organizations, they'll tell you about the taxes. You know, it is very key.
Yes, you are right. The Parliament have tried on several occasions to make sure that at least they make life easier and better for Ugandans. But then when you talk of me branching in the same market to buy an orange, that's the same market where a member of Parliament is branching, a minister, you find the ordinary citizen suffering more. But then we need to look at this in a two-way sides, because for government is also constrained. When you put up this minimum wage without thoroughly investigating the repercussions, then as a country at the end you suffer.
Well,
So
Robert,
this calls
a
for...
minute. Let's first join our colleague, John Paul Sonko, of course, coming to us live from Makubura grounds at St. Leo's College in Fort Portal City. Robert Sonko, of course, you're live on UBC TV. Good morning, Uganda. How is it like in Fort Portal City as Ugandans await for the official ceremony over that side in Fort Portal?
Fort Portal, and thank you very much for sticking around to your national broadcaster. Today is a public holiday, and of course a public holiday to celebrate all the workers world over, the International Labour's Day. The celebrations in Uganda are officially going to take place at the Mukabura grounds here in Fort Portal under the theme Improving Access to Labour Justice. a prerequisite, or to social justice a prerequisite to improved productivity. And if I am to take you through the fact that when here in Fort Portal, the preparations were already done by yesterday, and many of the ministers, many of the workers' representatives are already here on ground. Now, just to take you a little bit back to our theme for this 2024 is improving access to labor justice, a prerequisite for to improved productivity. And of course, looking at social justice as something that is very critical, you get to realize that this year, 2024, such a theme is looking at the justice or social justice while at work, while in the different workspaces. But of course, here in Fort Portal, I am joined by quite a number of gentlemen representing different workers' organizations or associations, as well as we are getting into understanding how important such a day is to a Ugandan and how important it is for anyone out there who is working internationally. And joining me currently, I have Mr. Wanzusi Robert Matuku, who is the General Secretary, Infrastructure for the Workers' Union. A very good morning, sir, and you're live on UBC.
My brother, I'm called Robert Wanzusi. I'm the General Secretary of the Infrastructure Workers Union, and I'm here today to celebrate the International Labour Day, which is organized here in Fort Portal, and we're here to be able to advance the theme of the day today.
Okay. Looking at the theme of the day, looking at improving access to labor justice, just that alone, what does that imply?
First of all, the reason why this theme was selected is because there is a lot of injustice in the workplaces. The rights that workers are supposed to enjoy in the workplaces, they don't get those rights. The rights are denied. And this has gone on for a very, very long time. The tripartite partners, that is the government, workers and the employers, have found it necessary to highlight this so that the people who are involved in labor administration act in a manner that is very considerable to the rights of the working people in Uganda. This theme is not selected for no cause. It is because of the fact that injustice has persisted in the workplace to such a level that workers cannot even get what is the very basic. For example, when you look at the reason why we have International Labour Day, one of the major causes why this day was put in place is because workers were working for very long hours. Today the laws are very clear. A worker is supposed to work for 8 hours. But you find people are working more than 8 hours and they are not compensated for the extra time they are given. People are not allowed to exercise their freedom of association in the workplaces as is required by the law. And we believe this is not right. People are not allowed to negotiate the working terms and conditions of service. And these issues have been of great concern in the workplaces. People are supposed to have maternity leave, paternity leave, they are supposed to have annual leave, they are supposed to have appointment letters, contracts of employment. But the majority of the companies today employ people, they don't even give them contracts of employment. And when people are injured, they are not compensated. These are things which concern a worker and they are very basic and our laws provide for remedy. But unfortunately, employers do not respect the laws. They break the laws, and it is for this cause that the theme increasing access to labor justice to productivity was selected. And you know, if there is no justice, don't expect increase in productivity. And if there is no increase in productivity, how do you expect the country to develop?
Robert, I wanted to also understand, when you look at the rights of our workers today, do you think our workers or the laborers in Uganda do understand fully their rights in our country?
No, the workers do not understand their rights, and not much. Very few workers understand their rights. And even those who understand their rights, there is a lot of fear instilled in them that it becomes difficult for them to claim those rights. Because employers who wield a lot of power sometimes intimidate these workers. The workers know very well that they have a right to belong, for example, to a trade union. They cannot because employers tell them that if you do, then we will be able to terminate you from employment. So workers choose between enjoying a right or foregoing a right and remain in employment. And also the people who are providing leadership are not doing much in terms of ensuring that there is awareness amongst the workers to be able to ensure they understand their rights so that they can claim those rights. And indeed, people, you know, capital, I've always argued that capital is founded on exploitation of the poor. People who do business enjoy it when the people don't know their rights. Because when they know their rights and they claim, it means that the profits they make are going to be less. So what they have to do is to leave the workers in ignorance to continue exploiting them, exploiting their ignorance. If, for example, I'm supposed to work for 8 hours and I don't know that that is my right, then the employer will employ me for 12 hours. And if I'm employed for 12 hours, it means I've worked for 4 hours for free. I'm not going to be paid. I'm entitled to have a day of rest in a week. I can't have it. And yet it is a right provided for under the law. And the employer takes advantage of that ignorance and makes me to work that day in a week, which is actually 8 hours. Maybe I work 12 hours. Now, if I'm going to continue working like that, I'm donating what rightfully belongs to me to the employer.
Okay, away from that, let's look at the contracts that are given to most of the workers in Uganda today. Many are verbal contracts because some are just hired randomly. When you look at the contracts that are, given from the verbal or even the written ones, do we take time to understand, we as the employers, or this is a conversation that we also need to start with this year's Labor Day?
Contracts of employment, it is a requirement under the law that every employer is required to give a worker a contract of employment. But even when you have not given that contract of employment in writing, you are required to observe provisions of the Employment Act in terms of ensuring that the worker whom you have given a job is not denied those rights. The ideal situation is to ensure that every worker is given a contract of employment. But employers refuse to give contracts of employment because they want to dodge responsibility. Because when you give someone a contract of employment and is working with you for a say period of 10 years, there are certain rights and benefits that go with that contract of employment. So employers prefer that they leave someone without a contract of employment so that they can deny, this is not our worker. In times of difficulty, I get injured, I'm working maybe in company X, and the company will say, no, this is not my worker. There's no identity card, there's no contract of employment. Now you have to start struggling, going to court which is going to take so long to handle your matter. So you find that workers get so discouraged that they cannot be able to get justice. There are employers also who give contracts of employment, but the contracts of employment are far below the required standard. The provisions in the contract of employment do not meet the requirements as provided in the Employment Act. This also exists, and we think that it must change. Yep.
Thank you very much, and a happy Labour's Day to you, sir.
Thank you very much for giving me the time.
All right. And there you have it. I've been having Wanzusi Robert Matuku, who is General Secretary, Infrastructure Workers Union. We're still in Fort Portal, celebrating the International Labour's Day for this year. Improved access to labour justice, a prerequisite for improved productivity, is the theme for 2024. And of course, speaking labour justice, we're looking at improving productivity as well. Many workers may not be working or enjoying the benefits of working along here in in Uganda, simply because of the fact that at times it becomes very difficult to work in these spaces. There is less productivity, there is less justice for them while at workspaces. But of course, as we are here, we are getting into contact with quite a number of labour's union workers and of course representatives here in Fort Portal. Now the next person I'm having is the Treasurer General from NOTU. This is none other than Mr. Mauko Moses. A very good morning, sir, and you're live on UBC.
Very good morning to you, my comrade. I wish to take this opportunity to greet Ugandans and welcome them to Fort Portal City, the tourism city that we have in Uganda, to celebrate together with us the International Labor Day for 2024.
Okay, and looking at this year, 2024, it's a different one. We're talking matters labor justice, access to justice. When you look at that for a theme, what comes to your mind and what do you think we need to put on the table, we as Uganda, to make sure that the workers are highly appreciated?
One of the first things that I would advise government is for government to ensure that they put to implementation the labor laws that we have in Uganda. Okay. We have 8 labor laws that are functional in Uganda, but the implementation of these laws is still wanting. Very many Ugandans, actually majority of the Ugandan working population, are not benefiting from these laws. It is only these people who are organized into trade unions that are benefiting from the laws that we have. Because all these labor laws in Uganda speak about implementation that should include the union. The union is one of the agencies that implement the labor laws. But very many organizations have not yet embraced the unions in their working environment. And that makes industrial relations very difficult in any working place where there is no collective bargaining agreement. So we want to encourage Ugandan workers to join unions, first of all. Then after joining unions, the unions shall undertake their mandate of representing these workers, of negotiating for these workers, of promoting, protecting and defending their social and economic interests at workplace.
Okay. Looking at it, what do you think has been the bigger problem as to why organizations in Uganda or why industries in Uganda are not giving room for these unions to operate?
One of the best reasons is ignorance of the legislation. Okay. Very many employers do not know about the laws, the labor laws that we have in this country, and even those that know don't take it for that it is going to be a benefit to themselves. So there is that ignorance that we must first of all deal with by trying to raise the awareness of the population about the benefits of labor laws, about the benefits of treating workers humanly at workplace. And then we also have this problem of which is historical. In the olden days, unions used to always use strikes. And many of these employers think that whenever you embrace a union, there will be a strike. But we have seen so many strikes that happen in places where there are no unions. Because when these workers are pressed too much, they end up getting into a strike situation. And probably in most cases, it is actually the unions that come to quell these strikes. So what we want to advise our workers, first and foremost, is for them to enjoy their constitutional rights. Constitution provides for the right and liberty to freedom of association, including formation and joining of labor unions of their choices. That is under Article 29 and Article 40. That also speaks about the freedom and liberty to collective bargaining at workplace. All these employees in Uganda, unlike their other employees in other countries of this world, we all have to enjoy these liberties of enjoying the freedom of association and the freedom and right to collective bargaining as the best way to improve the working relationships and the terms and conditions of employment at workplace, which is lacking in many of these countries, actually in Uganda.
Looking at this year, as note to what are some of those grievances that laborers in the country have shared with you or that you've been able to identify that need to be addressed very early on in 2024?
2024, one of the key issues is that as National Organization of Trade Unions, we represent all workers in this country at policy level, but you may also wish to understand that representation by trade unions has 3 clusters. Okay. All workers in this country are members who are potential members to trade unions because everybody reserves that right to join a union of his or her own choice. So everybody then becomes a potential member. But we have what we call book membership. Those workers who have joined the union, but they are not yet on the payroll for subscription. those become book members. And then the law also provides for the substantive members, those are the paying members. Okay. So when we are doing policy, or when we are reviewing or improving or enacting laws through participation, we do it for each and every employee in this country. Even when we are discussing at international level, the policies, the conventions that we discuss and the recommendations affect each and every employee in the whole world. So we are not only representing those who are substantive members paying, but we represent everybody. So that some of the grievances, specifically in Uganda, not a grievance as such, but one of the claims people have sung over a period of years is minimum wage. And we have even reported this matter to International Labour Organization. We want to ensure that the Uganda government enacts a law on minimum wages in Uganda, because it has been one of the deterrents for growth. And we are not speaking this in bad faith, but we see that minimum wage is going to be very helpful, and it is going to help the government pursue its goals. We are looking at a situation where if minimum wage is pronounced by this country, the purchasing power of the nationals is going to improve. So even actually our investors are going to benefit from their investment, because if they produce goods that cannot be bought or purchased by the nationals, then they will lose business and they will close their businesses and go away. But if we go through minimum wage, even this lower person, we want to have, it is a policy by government, and government has been doing a lot of efforts and policies to ensure that they increase on the number of people, the lower people, getting into the money economy. So if we use the minimum wage, we shall get this lower person also getting into the money economy, so that they are able to purchase, their purchasing power shall increase, and that will increase the taxation, tax base. So we want to encourage government to take time off to understand that minimum wage is not a deterrent to development, it only improves development. And one of the other things is actually to ensure that they step up labor administration. We have had situations where the labor administration of Uganda does not match with the development of Uganda. We have so many factories, over 600,000 factories or companies that are operating. But labor inspection is quite minimal. The labor inspectors we have are probably less than 200. And how can you imagine that 200 labor officers will inspect 600,000 factories or companies that are registered and or functioning? So it is our prayer to this government that they step up labor administration by doing two things. First, immediate, would be to re-centralize the function of labor. There is this mismatch where district labor officers under the Local Government Act are recruited by the local government, which is not a specified ministry to handle labor issues. Okay. Many of the districts don't actually have, or they have not recruited labor officers. So the workers in these districts where we don't have labor officers have nowhere to report labor cases. Okay. So we want to ask government actually to step up labor administration. The next thing is to make the ministry responsible for labor an independent ministry of gender and other things. Because when we're discussing with the officials in the ministry, they will attest to the fact that 70% of the cases they handle are labor related. Okay. And all the other ministries, gender, women, younger workers, youth, people with disabilities, the elderly, they all constitute to less than 30% of the issues within Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. That is why we are actually appealing to government to consider making the Ministry of Labour separate from other portfolios.
All right. Thank you very much for your time this morning on UBC, and we wish you a happy Labour's Day, sir.
I also want to wish Ugandans a very happy Labour Day, which has started now by National Organization of Trade Unions, trying to communicate some of the issues that we are going to speak to the President today at the chosen grounds in Fort Portal about the workers' issues in Uganda. Okay. I submit. All right.
Thank you very much. That is Mr. Mauku Moses, Treasurer General from NOTU, this morning also giving us an update on how we are going to celebrate Labour's Day 2024 here in Fort Portal at the Mukabura grounds. For those of you who are going to be live on UBC, our live broadcast is going to be coming live from Mukabura grounds. So you really need to be part of this entire day, as we'll be bringing you updates from every detail that is going to be occurring. Now, my final guest this morning is the Women's Workers Member of Parliament, Honourable Agnes Kunihira, who also joins us here in Fort Portal to talk matters Labour's Day. A very good morning, Honourable, and you're live on UBC.
Morning, thank you so much. I'm Agnes Kunihira Aboli. I represent workers in Parliament of Uganda. Okay. Yeah.
Happy Labour Day.
Thank you.
Looking at today's Labour Day, let me take this to the side of the women. Labour justice. Do we have enough justice for the workers? Do they access their rights as they're supposed to access in many of the organizations they work for in Uganda?
Thank you so much. Talking about the SIM, Labour justice, I think government has checked itself and it's coming out to see how to handle issues of workers in this country. Looking at what is happening currently, first of all, we want to appreciate government for endeavoring to create jobs. But what we are now demanding is decent work and decent jobs. Much as we are having a number of investors employing our people, and more especially the women, we have not yet achieved what we would wish to see. We are looking at many jobs being taken up as casual jobs. A number of Ugandans, women out there, and others, and young people are working as casuals. Working as casuals deprives you of a lot of your rights. One, you are not entitled to leave. So if you are a woman and you deliver, then you will have to stay away from working without pay. And yet the Employment Act is very clear. You are entitled 60 working days. But you can't afford to take those 60 working days because they are not paid up days. So you find people, a woman, after delivering for a short time, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they have to resume working. So is there labor justice? No. We are looking at a number of our people who are working. They are not saving with NSSF. In a way, we are creating the working poor category. Somebody is working, is not saving, is not entitled to anything. At the end, when you retire, at the age, then you will have to revert to government to help you to get the SAGE, the money for the older persons, which we wouldn't wish to see. We would like to see every person working in a harmonized situation and getting those entitlements. You are not entitled to medical care. So when you fall sick and you are working, you are supposed to pay for yourself. How much are you earning that you can afford to meet your medical costs? In most cases, these people are paid like 10,000 a day, and at the end you can't afford to have better accommodation. You can't afford to care for your family. You can't afford to meet the cost of living as it is today. So to us, we feel that labor justice is not yet achieved. When we go also to government institutions, take example of teachers where they are being paid different salaries but doing exactly the same work. The science person earns around 4 million. The arts person earns 1 million. Is there labor justice? So that's why I'm saying I think government was trying to check itself. Are they meeting the demands of the workers, of the people of Uganda, when they discriminate against their own people? That issue of science teachers, it is a government thing. So government must live by example to provide better working conditions for everyone. Our own constitution says equal pay for equal work done. So if you're going to pay me, we teach the same, we mark the same books.
We're doing the same things.
We are doing the same things. In fact, even in some cases, if I'm teaching English, I'm facilitating the person who is going to teach physics because you teach it in English. So if people don't understand English, they will not do better in physics. So I feel we are still missing a number of things. Much as we are appreciating government for creating jobs, by bringing on board a number of investors and providing everything. Secondly, most of the employers are not allowing people to join unions. Immediately they observe that you have joined a union, they will terminate your services. So the workers have been intimidated into fear. They want to be part and parcel of unions so that we can negotiate for their better CBAs, better collective bargaining agreement, which involves having better services provided by your employer, but well stipulated in the CBA. So a number of workers are fearing to join unions for fear of their jobs.
And what would be your message finally to the workers in Uganda on such an important day for them?
Thank you so much. Today we are commemorating for this important day. People who started the struggle for the Labor Day were from Chicago. But the reason they started it, they were fighting for their rights. And that's how it came to be declared they were a Labor Day issue for the whole world. Right, currently, almost everyone is celebrating this day. But I want to appeal to our workers that we have not lost it all. We are still appealing to government to take into consideration a number of issues we are raising. And we want to appeal to government that they should come out clearly. Now that they have brought out this justice, they are questioning themselves. They must answer these questions themselves.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Agnes. And there you have it, Honorable Agnes Kunihira, who is a workers' representative or workers' member of Parliament. And of course, this is it from Fort Portal here, where we'll be heading to the Mukabura grounds just later on. But of course, when you look at it from this way, the state in Fort Portal does look like a little bit calm for now. And just to remind you that Fort Portal is the tourism city. It's one of those tourism cities that we look at. So Alan would be very happy to be just here in regards to the same as we continue to have our conversations on Labour's Day. And of course, our final guest this morning as we get to understand more of Labour's Day and what we're going to celebrate and why we need to celebrate Labour's Day this year. A very good morning, sir, and you're live on UBC.
Thank you. Good morning, all Ugandans, and specifically the workers of this country. I want to take this opportunity to wish you a very successful Labor Day celebration. I greet you in the name of God and our country, and I wish you a very successful celebrations today in Mukabura Stadium. I want also to take this opportunity to assure the workers of this country that the National Organization of Trade Union is doing its best to ensure the workers' rights in this country are protected. My name is Richard Bigirwa. I'm the Secretary General of the National Organization of Trade Unions, NOTRU. Thank you and welcome to Muhabura grounds this morning.
Mr. Bigirwa, looking at the theme of this year, 2024, access to labor, improved access to labor justice, which is a prerequisite for improved productivity. This alone speaks about social justice. How can we ensure that the workers are meeting or are getting their justice while in workspaces?
I just want to re-emphasize that the first of all things is freedom of association. So long as somebody does not speak what is on his heart, rest be assured that productivity will be affected. And I want to emphasize that all the employers in this country, please allow workers to be part and parcel of decision making in your organization. And I also want to welcome all the workers to join the labor unions in the country to ensure that we gain unity, we gain strength, and we promote the national economy.
Okay. And then what would be your message to the government, to the workers, and then to the employers on such a day?
I want to call upon government and employers and workers. Under the law, we operate under the tripartism arrangement. That is government, workers, and employees. I want to see whereby all the three organs, all the three organizations work together. That is, the government consults the workers in areas where workers' issues are key. They consult employers, employers consult workers, and that is the cycle which will complete the successful social justice in the country.
And then your final message to our viewer on such a day of Labour's Day.
Over there, all the viewers, all the workers in this country, I want to invite you Mukabura grounds. Secondly, I want to encourage you that let's continue producing more to our employers. And to the government, please, I want to encourage you to encourage dialogue. Wherever there are issues, encourage dialogue. Employers, please encourage social dialogue. In this way, all of us will be covered and will be happy. Thank you so much, viewers. See you in Mukabura grounds.
Thank you very much, Richard Bingira, who is the General Secretary of NOTU. And we are here taking you back to studio in order for my team or the team in studio to take us through the entire day of the broadcast. Oh, just to let you know, I still have so many people here, by the way. Let me first get into another conversation, just a quick one, because it's the day for the workers, the day for the labor unions to as well represent the various workers and employees within the country on such a special day. A very good morning, sir. You're live on UBC.
Good morning and good morning, Ugandans. My name is Musa Okello. I'm the Chairman General of the National Organization of Trade Unions.
Okay, Mr. Musa Okello, looking at this day, what does this mean to our Ugandans and what does this mean to the laborers world over?
This is a very important day to us as workers, and to us in Uganda it's a very important day because it's the time we get the opportunity to address the government, to address the president, and to speak to the entire world about the plight of workers in our country.
Okay.
Yes.
Looking at Labor Day, I just wanted to have such a question. We have workers, Ugandan workers, working in different countries, and this is a day where we celebrate everyone internationally. What message would you give to government in regards to those specific Ugandans who are either working in the Middle East or other countries in Europe?
First and foremost, we are happy that we have an opportunity for our young workers to go out of this country and work, because we cannot all find jobs here. Our concern is the circumstances surrounding the work where they go. Is it decent work? Are they safe where they are going? That's our concern now. We've heard stories of our young people who are mistreated in the Arab countries. We've had cases of some who have even come back and died shortly after they have arrived. And so that's a concern that we would like to raise with government and see if it can be addressed. But even as NOTU, we are already having arrangements to see how we can coordinate with the companies that take these people outside and see how we can coordinate with the companies the other side so that our people are protected while they are out there working. It's important for people to work. We know that labor export has transformed lives, but also protection of these people is important.
Okay. Yeah. And then what would be your message to Ugandans out there, to the viewers on this Labor Day 2024?
My message to Ugandans today is that as workers, we would like to encourage you to unite. Because when we speak as one, then we are strong. We would like to invite you to join the labor unions in your sectors so that you speak as one voice. It's difficult for us to confront the forces against workers when you're one. But as NOTU, we would like to invite you to join the unions in your sectors so that we can speak as one voice. It's important.
Thank you very much, and a happy Labour's Day to you. All right, there you have it. Improved access to labour justice, which is a prerequisite for improved productivity. We're live in Fort Portal here on your national broadcaster, one of Uganda's tourism cities, if you are to ask me. And I will only tell you, we are going to be giving you all the details live on UBC. So keep your eyes glued here, as we'll be taking you to Mukabura grounds just within 1 hour's time, so that we can get to give you details about how workers are being celebrated in Fort Portal, and then how the people in Fort Portal are prepared for such a day. Just to give you a quick traffic update here in Fort Portal, you get to realize that, by the way, it's just a smooth ride to the Mukabura grounds and, of course, out of Fort Portal as well. But the preparations were already organized as of yesterday. So the reception, many people from Kampala, by the way, have been observed here in Fort Portal already. So it's a busy day to be in Fort Portal, I should say. And then for me, as Gerald Paul Song, I can only tell you, my Akiki did take some good care on my side as we were received in Fort Portal. But all the best for all the viewers out there who are watching Good Morning Uganda, and I'm taking you back to studio with Jethro as well as Robert Onyango this particular morning. To the team back at Nile Avenue Broadcast House, a happy Labour's Day as well. And of course, I'll be getting back live here while we will be at the Mukabra grounds. Good morning, and back to you in studio.
Thank you so much, John Paul Sonko, coming to us live, of course, from Fort Portal City. Now, he has been speaking to a number of senior officials, speaking and talking matters Labour Day, talking matters workers. Robert.
Yes.
A lot has been said.
Indeed.
You've heard what some of these speakers have really talked about. Let's talk about trade unions. Okay. Yeah. Now, some of the aspects that trade unions are supposed to look into when it comes to matters workers is to provide assistance and services, of course, to the workers. That is one. Two, collective bargaining. Yeah. For better pay and conditions for all workers, but also working to improve the quality of public services. Well. Now, after understanding that we have workers who have the fear to join trade unions, remember, some are told once you get into trade unions, your contract is no more. Well. Have these trade unions done enough, in your opinion?
Well, Jethro, thank you. And like you said, trade unions, I will be very genuine. Let's first begin it at a very good example, a WhatsApp group.
A WhatsApp group, yes.
I'm a member of so many WhatsApp groups. Okay. In fact, at times I join today, I leave tomorrow. Simply because, not that I don't have data, but simply because they don't subscribe to what I want. At times I'm even added there, I press leave. I leave, at times they add me again. These are the same way some of our trade unions are working. Operating. They don't speak to the fact that they are agitating for the challenges, the needs of the workers. In fact, if I'm to put it right, mostly the workers of Uganda have been laid down by these so-called trade unions.
Yeah, because at what level do they really come in when it comes to bargaining? For example, if you're given a job from within an organization, you bargain on your own. You know, they give you a contract, Robert Onyango, you're working for 500,000, are you signing or you're not signing? And that is all. If you take on the job, at what level do these trade unions come in to support me as a worker?
This is, the question you're asking me is the same question I'm asking myself. Do really these trade unions, the so-called trade unions, take responsibility of looking into all these matters? How many people are being employed in this company? What is the rate in terms of payment? What is the schedule of working? Then the remunerations, the compensations.
The determinants.
Do they, you know, I find it lacking. Of course, they will come on TV. They are good at press conferences, they are good at seminars, but they don't go deep in analyzing the situation where most of our workers are working from. Jethro, if you today go to one or two of the trade union leaders, just randomly ask them how many companies are in Namanvi. I bet if you were going to give them tickets to heaven, most of them will go to hell. They are not aware of what exactly is on ground. Most of these unions are briefcase unions. They don't take an extra mile to do the assessment of the conditions most of our workers are going through.
There is a saying that goes in Uganda that government yetuyambe nenga tena kuyamba gwokozeewo ki. Does this apply? Robert, a minute. Does this apply to in this aspect? Because Honorable Agnes Kunihira represents workers in the parliament. She clearly said that demanding government for better services, you know, but as we demand from government, what is our role as workers in this aspect?
Our role has been one. I've woke up, I've searched for the job. I've entered the UBCT factory.
Yes.
They have given me what they have called a job. No contract, no lunch, no transport, no allowance, no overtime. I've done my part.
Yes.
Because I can't stay home.
Okay.
As a leader, have you tried to take a step of making a follow-up to make sure that you be aware of what is the condition at my workplace?
Looking at the
I want
level,
us to begin from there.
Because Robert, given the fact that we come out to look for these jobs in one way or another, because probably you have to,
Yeah.
you're done with school, the 8 labor laws that we have in Uganda, people are not even aware of the working hours. If you're supposed to work 8 hours a day and probably 48 hours in a week,
Yes.
we have seen people working overtime. And once you work overtime, you're supposed to be given an additional allowance for working overtime. We are seeing people reaching offices at 6 and they leave at midnight.
Yes.
How does this really relate to the working environment that we are in as Uganda?
Well, it is a sad story. Like, look at the 18 million working population in Uganda. Government almost employing around 5 or 4. Where are the rest? So, if you have a gap or a deficit in the employment opportunities, these other things are not practical. Someone else is coming at your company, at your door, at your office, your table is telling you, for me, I will work from morning to evening.
Remember, we had ghost workers in the Auditor General's report.
For me, I'm not even concerned simanyi overtime. What I need is a job. And for you, you dress the move in someone's office and you say, for me, something beyond 6, I need an allowance. My friend, basing on the demands of today, basing on the competition, you can't be an option to that company. You will be, in fact, be considered as a burden. So this leaves all these other factors irrelevant. You will go for that job which needs you 24 hours there, where even when you work up to midnight, you are not supposed to even mention something in regards to simanyi allowance overtime. You will be compelled to work within the available conditions.
I think this is exceptional, Robert, when it comes to the different, of course, works, because you remember during COVID-19, we had me and you were essential workers. Now we have the security personnel, we have the nurses, the doctors, and we, the journalists, we used to work overtime, you know. Now that is our call. Because remember, as we are applying for this, even when you were graduating, if you did journalism, you took an oath that you will have to serve your country at all costs, and anywhere you're sent, you have to be ready. So don't you think that probably the working hours only apply to given type of jobs?
I don't think at times situations matter. For me, I normally move with members of cabinet, but at times they can be in the field beyond 7. They're supposed to leave office around 10, around 4. But then now...
So this shouldn't be a subject.
You mention of the journalists. Let me tell you, when you interact with most of the media personalities in this country of ours, very few have formal contracts. But you know what? For those bigger percentage which has no contracts, they are satisfied with the working conditions at their job or stations. Because simply, it is not this formal contract which is giving them bread on the table, but it is their effort.
The effort.
So they at times find themselves with a weighing scale. They start weighing what works for me better. Can I wait for the contract? Can I treat this job as everything? I can work tirelessly in a day and get 20 or 30. In a month, this is 100. This is 1M. Do I need a contract? No. If this gate is still open for me, I can go for this. So when we are discussing these matters, at times we need to be aligned to the fact that the situations have forced some of us, some of the workers in this country, to draw away with the nitty-gritties of the law. Recently, at that annual labor conference I told you earlier, there was all these discussions, and I picked these 2 things, justice and then productivity. let's look at the productivity of this. This is what most of the companies are looking at. I have 100 workers, they have no formal contracts, but what are they producing at the end of the day? Is it what the company wants? And they answer this question. At the end of the day, the company is getting profits, is draining these young boys and girls, who are also comfortable and satisfied because at the end of the day, they are in position to pay rent.
Of course, with no social dialogue.
So our country, I think when we try to go more into the laws, the labor laws, we shall have to again give ourselves time to analyze it, but be mindful it will kick very many of our youth out of the employment sector, because very few bosses will be in position to employ Jethro with a formal contract. Because our situation today is very, very versatile. Jethro moves in the morning, someone comes in the evening, they're working, they're doing the same work, but being paid differently.
The most disappointing part of this whole conversation, Robert, we have people who are leaving Uganda for greener pastures. Yes, but remember, we also have people in Uganda who are here for greener pastures. The question is...
Are you talking of the foreigners?
I'm coming to that. What do we call greener pastures? The most disappointing bit is if we have people who go abroad saying Uganda eganye, Uganda has failed. What are they going for? They are going to work.
Of course, if I'm to answer your question first,
Yes.
what
A minute.
is that green?
Yes, that is what I'm coming to. A minute. Now, if people are leaving Uganda because Uganda has failed, all right? And today, we are commemorating the International Labour Day. We have international laws across the whole world. These laws are not working even where Ugandans are running to the so-called greener pastures. Where should we go?
Then that's very interesting, and it brings back to me to the answer, like greener pasture, what is it? I think for me it depends on where you are working, what you are earning, and the situation there. They free enough to be, you can call this greener job, my job a greener job, because it is comfortable for me. I'm earning what I deserve. I'm enjoying the cool environment around it. Like for Ugandans who are moving abroad, we have very many foreigners who are also coming here, and they are comfortable here. They are almost at the top of the game. Go today, move down in Chisenyi. The Somalis have owned up that village, but you don't see them complaining. Why? Because the working conditions there are favorable.
To them.
To them. They are earning what they think is right. The working conditions, the security is there, the water is there, vis-a-vis what they left home. They were in a situation which was very volatile. Gun roars everywhere. They couldn't do business. But here they are operating, the shops are open 24 hours. The customers are moving in. So you find them comfortable, and they can be in good position to refer to this job of theirs as a greener job in Uganda. Then today another Ugandan is running out to Canada to look for survival, for that greener job, that good paying job. And these are the people who are almost remitting so much billions of money in Ugandan economy. But like you said it rightly, back where they are working from, things are also not okay compared to here. They are being manipulated. There's a lot of torture, especially to our girls who are doing housemaid jobs abroad. Recently, the government of Uganda has tried to even go into Oman.
Yes, I remember.
They are signing
Ministry
memorandums of
doing,
understandings.
doing a good
All
job
these are aiming at creating an enabling environment in those countries to make sure that at least there is minimum, not maximum, but minimum adherence to the laws of those countries to ensure that our boys and girls who are there, they can at least search for survival, but in a better way. So today when we are here discussing the International Labour Day, The good things the speakers in Fort Portal have said it all. We need to go back on the drawing board. But for me, my question is, we have told the government this over and over. When are we going to practically move forward as a country?
I was actually coming to that. At times I ask myself a question. If the private sector at times performs better than government, and I believe government has money more than the private sector, all right?
Yes.
Way back, we have very many government-aided schools. But of late, private schools are performing better than the government-aided schools. Now, the question is, the government has a bigger role to play in all aspects and all affairs of this nation. What are the determinants of the salary scales, Robert?
Yes.
You realize that people are receiving different salaries.
Salaries, yes.
Someone has a degree, someone has a PhD, someone has a master's, but today you're working with engineers, you know, engineers that we believe have probably a wider scope compared to what we capture. But you're receiving the same salary with an engineer. So the question is the value for education.
Yes.
When it comes to workers, it has to be looked into. People are investing in a lot to see that they are somewhere.
I'll give you an example on that same topic. For me, when I finished my lower level education, I was persuaded to join civil engineering. I went for a certificate. From there, I hit to the field.
What happened?
That was the site. Like you have rightly said, engineers or professors are earning less than the other workers. At that site, I was at a level of a certificate holder. We had engineers who had degrees, but I could earn more than an engineer who had a degree. It all came back to what do you give us at the end of the day on the site. I was versatile. The engineer could, I think this went into his mind that he's an engineer, couldn't push the wheelbarrow for the sand. He doesn't want to overstretch himself. I think basing on the level of his qualification. But for us who were juniors, certificate holders, we knew we had a journey and a cause and a dream.
Yes.
We could push ourselves hard. We could offer ourselves for everything on site on a daily basis. And at the end of the day, our payment was more than that of an engineer. This is the same situation happening in almost every employing company here. It's what you give us, it's what you get. Very few are sailing on their academic qualifications and credentials.
Don't you think it is going personal, Robert?
And I appreciate this.
I think that is the issue now.
It's the issue now, and this is why government is seeing it at this time. It's bringing on board the skilling. You see now industrial hubs, the skilling hubs being constructed countrywide.
Yes.
The president is looking at
Actually, President Museveni has done a good job
like,
for those skilling hubs.
let's skill and empower these young boys and girls. It is through their sweat that they can be in position to earn. Yesterday in Kayunga, I will go back to those testimonies by the young boys and girls. The boy from, I think, Nakulabi, and he has been studying from Kayunga. He gave a very touching statement saying, you know, when I came here, these boys and girls are spending at these skilling hubs only 6 months. But within 6 months, he is now in position.
Hands-on.
Yes, hands-on. He's now doing baking. He's in position to supply almost 10 schools in his area with pancakes, chapatis, breads. He's eating big, more than the professors within this area.
But remember, where does that now leave? The education sector.
Of course, the education, you look at the new curriculum. The new curriculum is also looking at having less classroom time. They're going practical, they're going hands-on. There are a lot of theory. Yesterday, Dananta was making a very good comment, and he said, I studied the Bonaparte, Napoleon. Today I find myself in a dilemma. And can I apply it in Parliament? Can I apply it in my constituency?
But of course, history is very important.
Yes,
we can't run away from history. If you don't know history, then
yes, the
you
late
can't be sure of where you're going.
El Tumwine used to tell us that if you don't know the history of your country, you never know its future.
Yeah.
But this must also change. History must be supplemented by practical. I must know why the Bantus moved from South Africa to Kenya. I must know why Mau Mau happened. But at the end of the day, does this bring bread on my table? No. The Mau Mau rebellion happened years ago. We must kill off that history and realign to the fact that the demands of today are different. I must know how to survive in the current world where technology is taking up everything. So as we celebrate this day, as the government is doing some interventions to make sure that the working conditions of all the workers in this country is a bit minimal to the fact that is conducive, we must agitate for what now fits in the current day. Practical, teaching our young boys and girls how to benefit from what they are skilled. Their skills must be now at their forefront. If we are to place these young boys into the job opportunities, it must not be based on what qualifications they hold, but it must be on what abilities they carry. These boys must be willing to work beyond, because this is what is letting most of us down. We are looking for those jobs where we are in fact in position to tell to our bosses, you know, for me I work 4 days, on Saturday I'm not around. On Monday, are you not eating? For you to come up with a proposal, like, for me, I will not work on Monday. Are you not eating on Monday? For me, I will not be here on Sunday. Are you not going to eat on Sunday? We must change to the fact that there's a lot of competition. The Ugandan population is increasing almost every day. So how do you position yourself to be identified as someone who is worth carrying in a particular company? If we don't go beyond that, you know, we will be left out, not by our own wish, but the other company is looking at someone who will add value to it. And are you that worker that particular company is looking for? As we celebrate this day, this is a public holiday. You are seated in your dining room, your sitting room. Ask yourself this question: am I that worker? That company is looking for?
Well, Onyango, of course I understand that when we start speaking workers now, issues hurting, paining workers, it's a very, very large and broad subject. And I do understand that we can spend the whole day, the whole week, talking about workers. We still have a number of things to talk about today. Of course, we shall be having a JMU Tourism Express with Allen Namisango. We shall have a JMU Business after. Robert Onyango will be coming back with that. We shall have traffic updates later in the day. But of course, we shall be having sports later on with Ruben Impima. But apparently, give us some time so that we can take you straight to the Tourism Express with Allen Namisango. Don't go away.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778
On Wednesday, the 1st of May 2024, Uganda will join the rest of the world to commemorate the International Labour Day, a day celebrated to recognize the contribution of labor towards the social, economic, and political development of the country. This year's celebrations will be held at Mukabura Grounds in Fort Portal City on the theme, Improving Access to Labor Justice, a prerequisite for increased productivity. The celebrations will be cast live on UBC TV, all our radio stations, and social media platforms. Don't miss. Happy Labor Day.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
The male hot spring. Now we're ending up here. This is the magnificent female hot springs. You can see, most beautiful, none of this kind in this country other than Semuliki National Park. So when you hear, I told you that the male's hot spring, the other side is extremely very hot. But again, when you come to the female, it's also not that cold, it's very hot. The temperatures ever recorded here, the highest has been 103 degrees Celsius. Very high temperatures. When it is hot, even your phone might reject taking a photograph. It's very important that we know that the hot spring environment is very fragile, so you are always advised to keep along the boardwalks and as guided by your guide, because the water, once you slip off, you are likely to get burnt. So observe the rules and regulations and make sure that safety first. As I told you, the other side, when the Bamaga were moving around trying to look for Bitente, who is the person traditionally who disappeared from the site of the male, and this side, the wife of Bitente, called Nansimbi, went looking for his husband, and the husband disappeared. And when people searched for her, for Bitente, and then the wife also searched for the husband, equally the two people disappeared. The female ended up disappearing from these places. They looked around, and fortunately one lucky person landed on the remains of the female. That one who is called Nyansimbi. Nyansimbi means associated with money. So what happens in tradition, in the culture of the Bamaga people? The Bamaga people believe that the ancestors stay here. The Sempaya Hot Springs is the headquarters of the ancestors of Bamaga. So annually, when these guys get problems, when they have low yields, when they have a lot of ailments, unexplained challenges, there's a very low productivity, they say the ancestors are very disappointed. What they do, they come here and prepare for appeasement. They organize goats, chicken, all kinds of food. But they are very careful. The females will only come on the female side. The males will go to the male side and slaughter the he-goats, the cocks on the other side of the male. But on the side of the female, they will bring only the she-goats and then the chicken, and make sure that they don't mix up the gender. As you can see, this place is spacious. It gives an opportunity for visitors, however many they are, to congregate, to be able to enjoy, to prepare food as much as they can and interact. That's what the mother does in the home, is always preparing for the family. So the female springs here also does the same. You are able to prepare your food, interact, even be able to touch the water, which you cannot do at the male hot spring. So the Bamaga do carry out an annual event of appeasing to their ancestors by making sacrifices. And after making sacrifices, the barren women will be able to produce very well, the yields will increase, all the family problems traditionally will disappear. So as Uganda Welfare Authority, we believe in people's culture, we promote cultural tourism, and we have supported the Bamaga to always go through their rituals. And please, I request the Ugandans that this is the only site in this country where you can do all these things and visit. Besides that, this water is very, very curative. It is a healing center naturally, where you can be able to come even if you have malaria. Please, we don't tell you that we only come here to treat malaria. First go for treatment, but then to remove the remains of the drugs you come here. Because you are going to sweat and your body will be so nice. Very free massage. And you will also prepare free natural food from here. You boil eggs, there's salt in it. You boil ruombo, we have Sempaya ruombo, where you only organize your food, immerse it in the hot water. It's ready for you. Meat, chicken, 1 hour. By the time you come back from your activities, everything is wow, well cooked, nice aroma. Please come and enjoy this as Ugandans. You are most welcome to the Female Springs.
As we come to the end of our journey through Semuliki National Park, and particularly Sempaya Hot Springs, we are left in awe of the natural wonders that are here. The place is so much endowed in beautiful landscapes, the hot springs, the nature, the green lush, like everything is super amazing. And it is one place that is calling you. It is becoming several tourists from different parts of the world. However, it is interesting to know that the numbers of tourists coming into this country, say in a year, if you get like 30,000 tourists to the park, we have at least 90% of these tourists being the East African residents. So that is amazing that we, the East Africans and Ugandans, we are embracing the beauty that we have in the country. So if you're this one Ugandan who has not yet embraced exploring Uganda, I don't know what you're waiting for, because it is this perfect time when tourism is so much booming and also growing at a very fast rate that you need to embrace such activities and travel around Uganda, explore the beautiful parks that we have, and come to Sempaya Hot Springs. I am Irene Allen Amisang. This is the GMTV Express. Catch you tomorrow.
Well, it is still a good morning for our viewers here on UBC. I'm still Robert Onyango with my colleague Jethro Kasaiji, taking you through the Good Morning Uganda edition of this Wednesday, 1st May 2024. It is a Labor Day, and what is exactly is Labor Day? This was a day designed to commemorate the efforts of the young boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, world over for their tremendous works they do in different communities to at least put a block on the development of their countries. The day looks at even bringing on board the challenges different workers encounter along the journeys of doing the execution of their work. And this is what exactly we are celebrating today. Like for our case here in Uganda, this is now what the day they have converged in Fort Portal to celebrate. Then the Good Morning Uganda business is also looking at the Labor Day. What is the Labor Day? What is this year's theme? That is improving justice or access to justice, a prerequisite of increased productivity. This is this year's theme as we celebrate the Labor Day. But who are the laborers in this case? There are a section of laborers in Uganda or even in the country. We have the skilled and unskilled. We have the professionals, the same professionals and unprofessionals. They all make up the bunch of laborers or workers who we are celebrating today. Then in Uganda, in our business perspective, you look at the Tenants Act of 2022. This act came in place to ensure that they harmonize the working relationship between the workers and the tenants or the landlords, and it seeks to bridge the gap between the communication of the tenants and the landlords, where in the instances we had seen in the past where landlords just wake up any day, anytime they wish, and impose fees of rent, electricity, water onto the tenants, which at times caused a lot of commotion in the city center. So these are some of the things we celebrate today on such a day of Labor Day. And we want to believe that as the government in 2019 moved a step to start and bring home the discussion of, at least as a country, moving to the level of improving the welfare of our workers by enacting a law which will bring in the minimum wage of everyone who is working in different societies here in Uganda. This has been over time appreciated, and we want to believe that we shall, as stakeholders, continue amplifying the demand, the call for government to, at least at the end of the day, put in position the Minimum Wage Act. This, according to workers, will simplify everything, and at the end of the day, workers at different levels will smile back home. So this is the Good Morning Uganda business, and I want to cross over to my comrade Jethro Kasaiji, who is just on my right here in the UBC studios, to take you with the next episode of Good Morning Uganda.
Well, thank you so much for keeping it UBC TV, GMU. Good morning, Uganda. We are still rolling on. Remember earlier I told you guys we still have a number of things on our plate. We want to see how really you can really understand how things are running in Uganda and of course across other districts. But for now, allow me to take you through the traffic updates, and understanding that today is a public holiday. You must understand how you're planning to move. That is if you're coming in Kampala city. Now, allow me start from the National Stadium. Nambole, around there, I can see a smooth flow of traffic. Now, if you're coming from Mukono, of course, coming through Nambole Stadium, you can come driving in slowly. Cars are moving, but of course, since most of the people are home, you will understand that it will take you a very few minutes to reach around Chireka. Now, from Nambole coming around Chireka, I'm also seeing a very good traffic flow. Vehicles are moving in smoothly, slowly. There is nothing like bumper to bumper, but of course, seeing how we can really join around Kampala Jinja Highway. Now, there is some bit of traffic there, but of course, it is moving. It is not really congested, as you can see around this area. And you'll be driving through slowly. It's still on Kampala Jinja Highway, coming to Kampala. You can see, yes, that green really indicates that vehicles are moving. There is really no much traffic over there, probably as a result of people being at home. I remember government coming out indicating that today is a public holiday. All right, let's roll in slowly by slowly. We are still on Kampala-Jinja Highway there. Yes. Moving in slowly. The traffic is still moving. Traffic is moving. Now getting to Spear Motors, those coming from Nakawa Jinja Road to join through Spear Motors. There is also a very good traffic flow. And of those coming from Ntinda to connect to Spear Motors also, there is a very, very good traffic flow around that point. Okay, coming in, of course, slowly you can see vehicles are moving. We are still on Kampala-Jinja Highway to see how you can really navigate through. You can see around Total Energies Nakawa service station there. There is no traffic really. Vehicles are still moving in slowly to see how they can really enter Kampala. Now, those coming from Lugogo bypass, you can see there is some little traffic. Of course, remember there are some traffic lights coming in from there. That is if you're coming from Lugogo bypass. But of course, that doesn't fail you from connecting to the city, and there is no need to worry about that. Yes, still coming to Kampala, Kampala-Jinja Highway. You can see still the traffic is on as long as you join. That is from there. Now I'm seeing around Wampewo Clock Tower. Yes. The traffic is also good. Uganda Management Institute, Yusuf Lule Access Road, still the traffic is moving. There is nothing like bumper to bumper. So if you're coming to Kampala, there is nothing really to worry about. I want to see how you can really navigate you to enter Kampala without any traffic. Uganda Aviation School, Entebbe Road, if you're joining to Kampala Road, there is not much traffic there, but as you approach traffic lights, there is some small traffic there, but of course vehicles are moving. Kampala Boulevard, not really too busy. People are moving, vehicles are moving there. Kampala Road, I'm seeing some small traffic around the square too there, but of course still, like I told you, that doesn't prevent you from reaching the city. Yes, so from there, as you're still approaching to see how you can reach around City Square, I can see around Bread and Cake Shop around there, vehicles are moving. I'm seeing around Watoto Church, there is some small traffic there as you connect to Bombo Road. So if you're planning to leave your home coming from wherever you're coming from in any direction, as long as you're coming to Kampala, there is no need to worry. Trust me, you'll have to navigate through Kampala without getting any problems, nothing like bumper to bumper. Well, as for now, allow me to take a very short break, but later in the day, we shall be having sports with Ruben Mpima. Don't go away.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people. We are one. Pamoja, we are one. Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Cinemax and National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
On Wednesday, the 1st of May 2024, Uganda will join the rest of the world to commemorate the International Labour Day, a day celebrated to recognize the contribution of labor towards the social, economic, and political development of the country. This year's celebrations will be held at Mukabura Grounds in Fort Portal City on the theme, Improving Access to Labor Justice, a prerequisite for increased productivity. The celebrations will be cast live on UBC TV, all our radio stations, and social media platforms. Don't miss. Happy Labor Day.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning. My name is Ruben Machibiranga. I'm glad I'm blessed to be here this morning. Of course, I am from the smart guys. I'm so impressed by the way they did the show today. And if you go by democracy, some people might vote to have the team back here, do the same things next week. But anyway, I'm in the company of John Barnes, talking through sports. And of course, today is International Labour Day. We've been for Porto live to give you the live feed as it happens. And our team is already down on the ground. As you watched in the first hour, Jethro and Robert had a discussion with Sonko to give us what is in Fort Portal City, the city for tourism. I don't know whether Barnes has been there, but I think he has been there. And he has the Empako. Empako is a kiki. But anyway, Barnes, good morning.
You're missing out a lot. Everything.
I saw the hot springs.
That aside.
So what are my things, Barnes? Don't start with the things anyway. Barnes.
But that's for the team. By the way, if you engage that man who is working out now, Jethro, and sit him here where I am to talk sport,
he can.
He's so knowledgeable.
About Arsenal or about basketball?
Local sport.
Local sport.
Volleyball. He knows a lot of volleyball, by the way.
Sure.
He's an umpire
in
volleyball. You need to bring him right here where I am. He will talk you through sport. He will talk you through volleyball. He will talk you through rugby. He will talk you through football. And he has all the knowledge, and he's qualified to speak whatever he does. Not like us who speak it because we learned it. But he studied whatever he speaks about.
Oh.
He's a certified volleyball referee.
Okay.
He's part of the team that is officiating the playoffs in volleyball.
Wow.
If you didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know.
He's
so
knowledgeable.
Now.
Sit him here, talk sport. You will wonder which kind of brain you have at UBC, and you'll say,
before we kick it out of here, let's start with Nambole was recently handed over for test matches, and I understand they have 2 matches in Nambole. Yesterday I was discussing with my wife at home about how we can have an engagement of watching the games together in Nambole, and I told him I was a bit busy to watch the game, but I told him, no, I know you'll be there, Ruben, with your team, with colleagues. Anyway, but away from her and the discussion we had yesterday, into us here to discuss the test games in Nambole. Barnes, we are looking at the 2 games in Nambole, and we're looking at the new stadium. Okay, it was renovated, and you could see the look of it now after being handed over to FUFA or to government to host matches. So, Barnes, what is going to be? What should we expect from Nambole today?
I think from evidence of what we've just witnessed from one of the colleagues who's been on set now, Robert Onyango, he's an ardent football fan, but I know him more for Chelsea.
Onyango supports
but if he's telling you that he's got to be at Nambole no matter what, that shows you the passion Ugandans have about their football, and the will to have a look at Nambole again. Because I know Nyango, despite the fact that he's so much into Chelsea, he has been to Nambole before. And when he sees those sprinkles of water being sprayed at Nambole, yet he sees those at Stamford Bridge, I know he wants to go down there and be part of this historic moment. Like many of us were many years ago when Villa Express beat up Villa, Fred Tamale, that goal that opened Nambole. I know many Ugandans, especially the young generation, are looking at this moment to go down to Nambole and watch this game. Of course, it's a pivotal time in the league itself, and for football to return to Nambole, because we all know that whatever comes out of Nambole today can influence even the CAF instructors or inspectors that Uganda can actually host its upcoming qualifier games against Botswana on the 5th of June and 5 days later against Algeria. So it's a very, very monumental day. I've been to that stadium. I know what exactly is in there. I was at that stadium before. I know it had gone to the dogs, and what is at Nambole now is good for anyone to see. Of course, many of you, the Onyangos of this world, will not get the opportunity I did get, for example, walking into the dressing rooms, unless if you are accredited Even if you are accredited as a journalist, you may not get the chance to go and tour that facility.
Okay.
Those are the dressing rooms, state of the dressing rooms, and the turf itself, very, very good surface there is at Mandela National Stadium, Nambole. It's good that finally it's up and running. I've been told by still one of our colleagues here, Francis Chene, who stays in the sides of Mokono, on his way to work. There was
traffic.
There was traffic at Nambole. Wow, it's going to be electric. You need to bring your wife. Tell her
Yeah,
to come.
of course.
I'm going to pay your
public
ticket. I can pay your ticket.
Thank you so much, John Barnes. But being a public holiday, I know that many would look out for an outing, and I believe that for the sports fans out there, the outing today is Nambole.
And
I mean,
it's going to be a perfect outing. Forget the fact that we are going back to our Nambole. Ugandans love their Nambole. The football games they chose to bring us to Nambole are simply the best.
Okay.
You would have asked for better than Bull versus Vipers, KCC against Villa. Those are titled deciding games. Bull FC in third position with still, the big chance of winning the championship. Of course, Vipers in the driving seat. If they win their 2 games that they have in hand on the leaders, Kitara on 48 points, Vipers on 46 points, as is Bull and Villa on 45 points. If, according to Villa fans, Bull and Vipers end square, then Villa beats up on KCCA in the late game, which is a big ask. Then Villa will go top of the standings level with Kitara that lost 2 points yesterday, valuable points against Mbara City. That game, they considered a very, very late equalizer at home, and it may return to haunt them. But that is Nambole for you. I think it's really UPDF. Thanks for the good job. I personally know that Nambole is in a far, far, far better state than it was even many years before it being closed.
Now the question is, Barnes, stadiums have a budget for cleanups and fund and everything. So we're asking ourselves, since UPDF has handed over to government or to whoever is going to be in charge of Nambole, there should be a budget for that stadium to always be clean, to always be taken care of.
That is
so if we abandon it, or if we get Passovers in Nambole and other events, that grass, before you know it, the grass will go back to what it used to be.
No, the grass, the guys at the project manager, Lieutenant Colonel Peter Sekukidemuka told me that if government wants, they can purchase something that they can cover on the playing area and accommodate Chris Brown on that very place, and the playing turf won't be affected. But now the onus is on the board at Mandela National Stadium, Nambole, led by a certain John Balo Muwanga. Those are the people we've got to look at now, because Nambole's problem, Nachivo's problem has been maintenance.
Okay.
Like you say, maintenance. The board at Nambole, including the stadium manager, what's his name, Sewanyana, or Jamil Sewanyana. All those are the guys now where we've got to target our eyes and attention. These guys should not come to Nambole and think they're going to wait for days like this and get all the money, go back to their houses and sleep. Nope.
Okay, Barnes, away from Nambole into the open water championship. I know you love swimming, Barnes, and I've ever seen you do that at a certain pool somewhere. Though you came to look at the wags before.
No, by the way, when I went to school, I went to St. Charles Lwanga Senior Secondary School, Kasasa, along Masaka Road, and we had we call it a pool, but it was more like the Kabaka's Lake. Chidiba, yeah, but it was the water was moving. So for me, swimming is something that I've done before, and I grew up in Entebbe. I'm born and bred in Entebbe. Anyone born and bred in Entebbe during our times must have the ability, at least to swim, not like the Nyangos that can even choke under the shower.
Ucho Nyango, the one who was here.
The one who was here. So there's that swimming championship in Luanda.
Okay.
That girl there, she's called Gloria Muzito. Gloria Muzito has just won a medal for Uganda at the games. It's like the Africa Aquatics and Open Water Swimming Championship in Luanda. She won a gold. The interest now for us, for that lady there, she is part of the 2 swimmers that have been selected by Uganda Swimming Federation to be a part of the Olympics that come to us in about 86 days. Now, Gloria Muzito must improve as much as she can, because the rules of engagement for the Olympics lately are Uganda is taking two swimmers as wild card. Tentatively, Uganda Swimming Federation has fixed her, Gloria Anna Muzito and Jesse Sengonze. Jesse Sengonze is part of the team that is in Luanda for that championship and gets into action today. Now, but what happens is, if you do not improve your time, the federation has all the authority from the International Olympic Committee to take you off and replace you with the Ruben Impima, who they think is on top of his game.
Okay.
So these girls and boys that are on a wild card for the swimming have got to keep performing, and this is good for Gloria Muzito because now she confirms that she's going to be a part of the team. Yes, she didn't better the time she posted when winning bronze at the African Games in Ghana, but she was she's champion. She finished in 57, about 57 point something seconds. But you think it's good for her, and if she gets more, then she's going to be one that we've got to look at the Olympics. Of course, getting any close to a medal at the Olympics, she's going to swim in the regions of 52 seconds or 50 seconds to stand any chance of getting a podium finish. We have 4 swimmers at that championship. The others are siblings, Kirabo Namotebi and Tendo Mukalazi. Tendo Mukalazi swam in the 100 meters freestyle yesterday and fourth. It was a decent swim, 52 seconds, but they will be
We did talk to on Monday. We talked to Edwin Kairi Kule, who was actually presenting the score in Masaka, and he gave us a very good update on what was happening there. And I'm glad to host you today, Barnes. I know you have come with a lot of information regarding the school's football games, and I'm pretty sure that you know which school has actually come with Machuba, which one was disqualified, which one beat who. So take us through that as well, Barnes.
Yeah, what we, because of our limited time, Robert, we are at the round of 32 that gets underway in about 5 minutes at various grounds in Masaka. Masaka city being a very, very good host.
Okay.
First of all, the facilities are there. Of course, they are not the best to be played at, but at least they are there. We start with that, Ruben. They are there, and the kids are enjoying their football. Of course, there are cases of overaged players, but that is something that is now in the law. If you are caught guilty of that, you will face a jail term. That is good for sport in Uganda because this is the future of Ugandan football, Ruben. But at the round of 32, very enticing games, Ruben. And it kicks off at 9. This is after the producer has chosen to give us the afternoon fixture, but there's a morning fixture. There's a St. Charles Luanga Senior Secondary School, because my former school is playing against the reigning champions, Kitende. It's a big ask for my former school. But look at that fixture. Ginger SS against Kibuli at 2 p.m. It's going to be live on TV. But, Ruben, this is the round of 32. That means Ginger SS or Kibuli, one of them will not be at the East African School Games.
Okay.
Because if you're out now, you're out. Because
You're
it's
out
the top
forever.
4 that will go into the East Africa Secondary School Games. That makes this very, very interesting. There's another game in the afternoon, the 4 p.m. kickoff. It will be live on TV as well. Budo City Secondary School against Bokedia. Bokedia belongs to the Speaker of Parliament. They have invested a lot. They have a couple of players that play in the league, and they're playing good football. Bokedia comprehensive. That one is also a big one that we actually look forward
against
to.
Budo Secondary School.
Against Budo City Secondary School. Budo former champions, and they would love to be a part of the 4 that will represent Uganda at the East African Games. So it's going to be a lot of intrigue down in Masaka. There's another game in the early kickoff, in the morning kickoff. There's Kitovu Secondary School Kitovu against Masaka Senior Secondary School. That is a local derby. But, Ruben, credit to what you've hosted here in the past. I think before COVID, you hosted guys from the El Cambio Academy.
Yes, El Cambio,
now,
yes.
El Cambio Academy has given players to Blessed Sacrament Kimanya, and Blessed Sacrament Kimanya is playing some of the best football, structured football. Forget the Chelsea of gambling the Onyangos talk about. Structured football.
Is it tic-tac? Is it
they play everything football you love to see. They're playing everything football.
One of our colleagues here, there's a coach who talks about tactical.
Titi Kamara.
So is that El Cambio?
It's El Cambio.
Okay.
El Cambio, Bishop Sacrament Kibanya is the.
Those are actually the early fixtures.
Yeah, Bishop Sacrament Kibanya is in action in the morning.
But also all the Kampala SS Barnes and Nkozi Seed Secondary School is also a good game.
All these are good games. All these there's Meta. There's a school called Meta. Meta plays the lower fixture. That school Meta from Lira. I saw it play football, and they play quality football. They play
Standard High is also going to be.
Standard High is also one of those that think by right they've got to be at the East African Games, but they may not be there because they face a tricky side. Blessed Sacrament Kimanya against Kakungulu Memorial. I wish you look out for TV and watch that game.
Okay.
Because Blessed Sacrament Kimanya is playing real structured football. The kids are young. You can't put pressure on them to win the championship. But as long as they're entertaining the fans, that is what we need for football. Because football must be interesting. Ruben, football like the thing you like the most. You must enjoy it.
You know me, I love
Enjoy
taking
tea, enjoy
cassava
tea.
and- I love taking tea at the cassava.
Yeah,
that's a football.
You've got to enjoy it.
Okay, Banza, before we go, we had the game between Madrid and Bayern Munich yesterday at Allianz Arena. And by the end of 90 minutes, the game ended 2-2. And now there's a turn leg next week. That will be at the Santiago Bernabeu. And at the look of things, I believe Carlo Ancelotti has an upper hand to go through to the final. That's Madrid. But that's Madrid.
Yeah, but Madrid will know that they traveled to the Etihad the previous round, still not with advantage.
Okay.
So they will have to know that Bayern has been there, done that. They've won this a couple of times, and they know that Bayern can score a goal and shut them out. So it's still an open game. As long as there's no away goals rule, Ruben, this is an open game still. Because I've seen teams come away and dominate and win games. Real Madrid themselves did it against Man City.
True.
No one expected them to eject Man City.
Okay.
But they actually did so in penalty. So if they become complacent and think that they're through because they secured a 2-2 at the Allianz Arena, then they are in for a shock against that team that can actually put on a good show. Assad Gnabry didn't start that game, but if he starts, he adds pace to Bayern Munich. And we know that with pace, every defense in the world can suffer. Yes, they play deep lying kind of defense, Real Madrid, but still Bayern will force you to play what they want to. They will force you to come out and attack them. Then they will create spaces behind you and they'll attack those spaces. At Gnabry, if Coman can be back, then they have Coman, they have Leroy Sané and Gnabry. Then you know that it's going to be a bit
Then
of
also
a different
Goretzka
game.
in that midfield.
Yeah, Goretzka, but those are the three players that can turn the game and win it for Bayern for me in the return leg. Today,
So what if Vini shows up and Valverde and others?
Rodri,
I mean,
Rodrigo,
Luka Modric, David Bellingham, Jude Bellingham, Toni Kroos. What if they also show up and they come Vingas and then Bayern will be in trouble?
Absolutely, absolutely. The advantage is slightly favored towards Real Madrid because one, they're playing at home. They've won this almost whenever they feel like they have to win it, and you think that they've got the players that can actually win them a game any moment of any time. The goal they scored, the first goal, Toni Kroos to Vini, that pass,
that was a
simply
wonderful
awesome.
pass.
Yeah,
Actually, it brought back the years of Pirlo, Pirlo Inzaghi, Pirlo Shevchenko, Pirlo Crespo, or even Kaka Shevchenko. You know, that kind of 5 players were beaten in just a single pass. One pass like this. And the intelligence of Vini, for me, going to the space and knowing that this is moving in this direction, I should pass the ball like this. That's intelligence. That's football intelligence. But tonight we have PSG against Dortmund, and if things go the German way, we might have a German final.
Yeah, but that's the wish for everyone. I think Dortmund have a big chance. The way they negotiated the semi-final, the quarter-final, I didn't expect them to, by the way. And now I rate them highly against a PSG side that is heavily reliant on Kylian Mbappe, who seems like choosing games to play and moments to come into games. If he does again against Dortmund, then Dortmund is in to shock them because Dortmund is simply under no kind of pressure to perform. PSG must win the Champions League to rate their name amongst the great clubs of the world. Dortmund, yes, they've won it before. They've taken a whole lot of time without winning it. But the pressure they're going through is not the same as a PSG. If they come into this game, come and get their players to rhyme as early as they did in the second leg of their quarterfinal, PSG stand one.
Okay. Unless otherwise, we've got to hand over to Jethro and Onyango as we wait for the feed to come from Fort Portal. Your parting shots, Barnes.
The holidays are on. Parents, please, your kids have got to be mentored by you. You've got to take care of your kids. But the most important thing, Ruben, learn your kids to live with other people.
Okay.
If you stay in a mansion, learn your kids to stay with other people. That will see them through the world.
That's a good one. As a parent, I will not add on what you've said. But happy Labor Day to every laborer out there.
Something else. Yes, I know you've got a car, but allow your kids to go and jump onto that taxi going back to Boyikwe.
Okay.
They will learn a lot. They will not fall ill.
Okay.
But they will learn a lot about the world. There are kids I know in this world that hardly